Ever since my name got out that I was going to the Future Showcase, I would just make up random scenarios, and that was the first scenario that I would make up, just winning that home run derby.
Welcome to episode 354 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Another big-time performance from an Alberta product at the Canadian Future Showcase. We'll recap that event in a minute, but first, the news headlines. We'll start with some massive news for baseball in Alberta and across the country as Baseball Canada has unveiled the new Morneau Cup National Academy Championship. It's called the Road to Okotoks, a full-scale tournament featuring regional qualifiers before a 16-team final tourney in Okotoks in mid-July. This has been a long time coming as the national organization first started really talking about an academy championship when they released their new strategic plan at the end of 2023. Head to our websites for full stories as well as my latest editorial for all the details, and we'll hear from Tyler Hollick of the Dogs in just a few minutes. Let's head to the majors now, where most of the action of interest remains. Eric Sabrowski has made another couple of appearances out of the bullpen for the Cleveland Guardians. The AHP alum has been shoving all season long and is now 0-1 with a 1.95 ERA in 31 appearances, striking out 37 and 27 plus for a Guardians team that is, believe it or not, now sitting on top of the crazy AL Central as we record this episode on Wednesday night. Calgary's Michael Soroka has also made a couple of relief appearances this week for the Chicago Cubs, including a rough go Tuesday against the New York Mets. It was his third appearance since returning from his month-long stint on the IL. His Cubs teammate Andrew Kittredge was roughed up on Saturday, but also came in for an inning of scoreless relief in Tuesday's loss to the Mets. The former Okotoks Dog is 4-3 on the campaign with a 3.46 ERA in 53 games, striking out 61 in 52 innings. In the minors, the season is winding down with just a few championship series left and winding down as we speak. Of particular note, former Okotoks product Alejo Lopez had a solid season in AAA with the Las Vegas Aviators in the athletics system. He hit .268 with 5 homers and 48 RBI in 117 games. The Aviators are in the Pacific Coast League Championship. Fellow Dog Gavin Logan's season is over after his Amarillo Sod Poodles fell in the Texas League South Division Final. Between 3 levels of the Arizona farm system, the backstop hit .233 with 8 homers and 31 RBI in 64 games, adding a homer and 2 RBI in one playoff matchup. And Innisfail's Nathan Flewelling's season is also over after his Bowling Green Hot Rods lost in the South Atlantic South Division Final. The Red Deer Minor Baseball St. Joe's Academy Sylvan Lake Gulls alum played at 2 levels, hitting .230 with 6 homers and 52 RBI in 107 games during his first full pro season. Then Flew went 1 for 4 in 2 playoff games. A couple of other notes from the minors. Congratulations to former Vauxhall Academy product and Swift Current 57 Garrett Hawkins on being named a Midwest League All-Star. He was outstanding in San Diego's farm system this year, going 9-1 with a 1.50 ERA and 10 saves in 45 relief appearances, striking out 80 in 60 innings. And former Dog Matt Lloyd is on the mend after undergoing what he calls successful shoulder surgery. He was fantastic with the AAA Memphis Redbirds this season, hitting .272 with 8 homers and 50 RBI in 78 games. In other news around the baseball world, the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame will induct its class of 2025 this weekend in Red Deer. Quite a few baseball connections this time around with builders Reno Lizzie, Orr Franchuk, Mel Kowalchuk, and Dr. Randy Gregg, as well as renowned author W.P. Kinsella. Stay tuned for next week's show as we plan to have something special from that ceremony. Nominations remain open for the Baseball Alberta Awards coming up in November. Head to baseballalberta.com for all the details. The deadline there is September 30th. Meantime, nominations are also open for the Baseball Sask Awards, which are happening next month in Saskatoon. Head to baseballsask.ca for those details, where the deadline is September 26th. And a tip of the cap to Trevor Fitzpatrick, Kevin Glue, Bob Elliott, and everyone at Canadian Baseball Network for their fantastic stories from the Canadian Future Showcase in Toronto. It was great to have so much fresh content from that 4-day event again, which we shared some of those relevant stories on our sites. We'll have a few guests from that that showcase coming up in just a few minutes. But first, back to the big story of this past week. If you go back to episode 259 of the show, you'll hear from Baseball Canada CEO Jason Dixon. It was right after they had released their strategic plan where I noticed a little nugget about an Academy National Championship. It had long been thought of, but no one was really able to action it. As it turns out, Dixon has been working on it since then and entered into conversations with John Arcandia and the Okotoks Dogs. One thing led to another, leading to a major announcement on Wednesday. The inaugural Morneau Cup, named after Canadian legend Justin Morneau, will be held next summer in what's being dubbed the Road to Okotoks. It'll feature regional qualifiers before a week-long 16-team tournament in mid-July in Okotoks. It's being hailed as a game-changer. I had the chance to chat with Tyler Hollick of the Dogs to get a sense as to what's been talked about to this point and what's to come in a busy winter of planning. Tyler, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Big news with the inaugural Morneau Cup being held in Okotoks in July next year. How excited are you to finally have this news come out?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, I think there's a lot of excitement around the event as a whole, and us as the Dogs hosting it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're going through some preliminary meetings now to make sure it's as first class as we can possibly make it, and it's just going to be a celebration of the top Canadian programs and top Canadian players, the future of Canadian baseball right here in Okotoks. So
take us back to the beginning a bit, and how did this conversation actually come to be, at least in the eyes of the Okotoks Dogs?
Yeah, it's been a long process. John Urcandy, the founding and managing director of the Dogs, still to this day, has been talking directly with Baseball Canada and the CEO of Baseball Canada, Jason Dixon, and the head of the national teams, Greg Hamilton, and kind of going back and forth this concept of uniting, youth baseball or the 18U programs and the academies, where largely the more prominent development opportunities and a lot of the premier players across the country are playing in, and to have a tournament that kind of brings everybody together and celebrates that and kind of has everybody battle and competed out on a really cool stage, and on the national stage is going to be a lot of fun. So John's been going back and forth with them for quite a while, and the intention has always been the same, is to get the highest level of baseball and the best experience for everybody. And when we can't think of a better place than right here in Okotoks. So it's been a few months now, and we've been sitting on the announcement for a few weeks when everything got finalized, and we're excited that it's shared with the world now.
You mentioned it before. You've hosted some big events in the past, whether it's the WCBL All-Star Game comes to mind, obviously for me, even doing some national tournaments in the past before. So is it I don't want to say rinse, lather, repeat, but at the same time, do you have that recipe in mind that you can go, hey, you know what? We know we've got all the pieces in place. We just need to go out and execute?
For sure. I think it'd be doing a disservice to the other programs coming in, the community, the Dogs, if it was just a rinse rather than repeat. I think there's foundational pieces that we want. We've been to, we're no stranger to hosting, provincial or national level events here in Okotoks as it is. But we also have, had a lot of experience in baseball, whether it's tournaments in the States or collegiate or professional level events where, we want to kind of throw our own little flair on it and make it the best event possible for them. So, just creating that atmosphere and bringing the community together, and hopefully you get some, the top players in Canada playing in front of crowds of a few thousand people would be a really unique experience for them.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned the U.S. thing, because I was going to ask you about that. I know you've won Perfect Game as an example the last couple of years. So does that kind of give you a bit of a blueprint too about, hey, this is how they do things in the U.S. We could bring that same sort of style to an academy showcase, academy tournament, academy national championship here in Okotoks?
I mean, I think you take a bit from everybody. I think the nice thing about baseball in any regard is that no one invented anything, especially people that are teaching it now. You just kind of steal it from whatever you think is the best option. So I think we're going to model a little bit after the NCAA, Road to Omaha College World Series. Baseball Canada is also no stranger to hosting events, national level events. So we'll take a lot from them and some of the other premier tournaments that we play in across North America. So it's not going to be anything groundbreaking, I don't think, in terms of fireworks going off in the middle of the game, but it's going to be run very well. And I think everybody, all the teams, coaches, players, parents, everything like that are going to have a really good time here in Southern Alberta.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, the baseball is one side of things, but do you have a vision in mind already about what the whole week is going to look like? Is there going to be different events going on throughout the course of the week, that kind of thing that fans can check out or the teams can be a part of?
I think one thing that immediately comes to mind is the Dogs College summer team. So we'll be in communication with the WCBL and working towards scheduling, at least a couple of games that week where, the future of Canadian baseball before these guys are, going off to college, they can kind of see Canada's premier summer league in the Western Canadian Baseball League, watch a high level college baseball game with, all the amenities going, the music and the crowd, and really enjoy that. So that's what the week's gonna be centered around. And then, just meeting with people in the community and with Tourism Calgary and a lot of other stakeholders in our area, and just seeing how else we can improve this experience for everybody. But I think just right off the top, before we kind of started anything, it was a big deal for it to be showcased, the WCBL to be showcased in front of 16 of the most premier programs in the country.
That is fantastic. Another portion of there's a couple of cool aspects to this announcement that I really took away. One was I love paying tribute to legends and paying tribute to the past. And to name it the Morneau Cup after Justin Morneau, that's got to be kind of cool to say, hey, we get to honor the past and also showcase the future with this event.
Yeah, and I think it's really special because Baseball Canada is like the community of baseball in Canada is small. Everybody's connected on some level and regularly communicate and the players now idolize the Nailers and the Cade Smiths and the Toros and all the guys that are doing great things in the big leagues, and the past regime that just handed it off from Votto and Morneau and then Walker before that, and all these different things where it's really cool to pay homage to somebody that really did shape Canadian baseball and motivated and inspired an entire generation of players. And selfishly, that's who I watched growing up, and that's kind of the era that we're going into. And then to pass on to the next generation and kind of link the history with the present day and the premier tournament in Canada is going to be a lot of fun. And I think the players nowadays might not all have heard of Justin Morneau or be that well read on him, but one of the best players in Canadian history, and something that we're going to take a lot of pride in naming the trophy after him. So.
Absolutely. I also love the idea of the draft. Where did that idea come from first off? And how cool is it to be able to maybe give some of these players who might be on good teams, but not the teams that make the cut, to actually get introduced back into a new team and put themselves on that national showcase?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. I mean, I think it's going to be really unique. I think it's going to bring a new perspective or lens to this tournament and an interesting dynamic. We have a lot of pride in what we do in terms of, grassroots development all the way up from, 10 years old when they start the program, all the way when they graduate and go off to college or professional baseball at 18 years old, and supplementing that with, some of the best players from across the country. So for us, like a draft style or, adding talent or raising the bar and kind of that iron sharpens iron type of mentality is something that's not new to us. And it's a 365-day a year job. So I'm still trying to grasp how that's going to look for other programs and picking up a player and what that's going to look like from us or from our perspective. So we're excited about showcasing the players that are here and having them displayed on the stage.
Randomly, will there be a home run derby, or do you foresee the possibility of one?
I mean, I don't know. That is one of the most frequent questions we've gotten in the office. Like, we want to do one, we want to do one. So, John will have his say and kind of decide what he wants to do in conjunction with Baseball Canada, and I'm sure the coaches will have their opinions as well. I think it's a cool event. We just saw what happened with the Blue Jays showcase in Toronto, and I think the players really get behind it. So I think it could be fun. I know it had a lot of success the last 4 years. We hosted the WCB All-Star Game. I know that Saskatoon's going to do a great job making that like a marquee event in 2026 for the WCB All-Star Game. So I think it's very, very much in the possibility, but we're not quite there yet in the whole tournament planning stages yet.
Fair enough. I just like the fact that Alberta is 3 for 3 now in terms of going from Nathan Fluelling to Tim Piazantine, who you know very well, and then this year is with Daril Rodriguez. It's fantastic stuff. So you want to kind of put them on a bit of an idea there for what they can expect a couple of months later with the Canadian Future Showcase. So
That Alberta beef, Joe.
it
That's different. It's
I
that
call
cut
it Farm
above.
Boy Tough. I love it. So
Yeah.
awesome. Tyler, one final question for you as we wrap things up and take a look ahead to 2026, because I know there's a lot of planning that's going into it. Gaze into the crystal ball a little bit for me. How do you gauge success with a big national event like this?
That's the hardest question yet. You should have let off with that one, and we could have got out of the way. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that go into it. It's how you tie in, the professional standard of baseball that Baseball Canada would expect from a national championship, and kind of the dog standard for everything that we want to host or put our name on, and then how well you tie in the community and the fan support and really bring this whole experience together. And then it goes down to the experience of the teams and the coaches and the parents, and how that becomes that event that they're looking forward to every year, much like the Memorial Cup in hockey, or much like the College World Series, or whatever it may be. I think there's going to be a lot of things to unpack here, and we're going to leave no stone unturned. I can promise you that, and make sure that it's as good of an experience as we can possibly make it. And hopefully our dogs team represents well and wins the whole thing. So it would be kind of the cherry on top from the baseball performance side. Would deem it maybe a perfect success if all those things come together.
Always setting the bar, which is what I love whenever we get a chance to chat, Tyler. Always appreciate it. Congratulations on the announcement. Looking forward to 2026. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it.
Let's head back to the Canadian Future Showcase now, and it was a great week for several players with Alberta connections, none more so than Daril Rodriguez. The St. Joe's Academy and Gulls Prep slugger has continued to rise up the rankings in the eyes of scouts and onlookers for his power and his tenacity. He took it to another level in Toronto as he showed up well in virtually every regard, so much so that he was the lone Albertan to take part in the Home Run Derby. Rodriguez was fantastic, beating up on the competition to become the third straight Alberta-trained product after Nathan Fluelling and Tim Piazantine to take the crown. I had a chance to chat with a young man who's had a really interesting journey in the game, including moving back to his native Dominican a few years ago, only to return to Red Deer in the last 12 months. Daril, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
How does this sound? Daril Rodriguez, Canadian Future Showcase Home Run Derby champion.
Sounds great. It sounds great.
Can you have ever imagined that would ever come to see the light of day?
To be honest, yes. For me, I would say yes, because, ever since my name got out that I was going to the Future Showcase, I would just make up random scenarios, and that was the first scenario that I would make up, just winning that home run derby.
What was it about the derby that made you go, hey, I want to win that thing?
It's just hitting home runs, man. It's just that's the thing I do. And I knew that I had the talent to go in there, and I knew that I could stick around with Flu and Tim. So yeah.
Absolutely. Had you ever been a part of a home run derby before?
Yes, in 13U, and I won that too.
So you're old hat at this. So were your arms tired at all going through the one in Toronto?
Well, no, it was just like a normal thing. I didn't have any nerves. I wasn't excited. It was just a normal day.
Normal day at the ballpark.
Yeah, normal day at the ballpark.
Love it. Going into it, did you know you had a chance of winning it?
Yes, for sure. Even though the competition was really, really tough. But I still had faith in myself, and before, I just imagined myself winning it. The morning of, I woke up at 6, hit the gym, and I'll just focus and meditate of me winning it, and it happened.
So walk us through what's going on in your mind as you go through that last round, the last batter goes, and hey, you are the champion now.
What went through my mind, it was just surreal. I was like, man, I don't even got a year here, and I just did all of this. Like I just took time for myself and time to thank God because like people like me like don't even have the chance to go to the Canada to go to the Future Showcase, and all that I've done is just it's just pretty surreal, man. I couldn't even imagine that.
It's been a crazy journey, and we will get to that in just a couple of minutes here. Not only did you come away as a champion at the Home Run Derby, but your team also did pretty well. You're the championship winning team at the Canadian Future Showcase. How cool was that to put the cherry on top?
Well, it was pretty cool. Like the good thing about my team is that ever since we played like we've knew each other for like 2 3 years. So that was like an advantage from like the other teams because we played with energy. We've played our hearts out. So that was a pretty good advantage.
I bet. Looking back on the experience as a whole, do you have any favorite moments aside from the Derby, aside from the games, aside from sort of that kind of, what was sort of the highlight for you?
My highlight for me was meeting new people. Meeting new people. Like all the guys on my team that I met, I have a pretty good relationship with them. So that's the coolest thing about it.
That's awesome. What's it like stepping onto a big league field as well, especially a team I'm sure you were probably watching maybe as a kid? I mean, it's Canada's team after all.
Yeah, like it was surreal. Like sometimes when I would be playing, I would be like, man, Vladdy Jr. was stepping on this field. Man, like Aaron Judge played on this field, and it was just surreal. Man, it was a pretty good feeling.
Looking back on the experience, I talked to a lot of guys who are like, hey, you got to be kind of a sponge. You've got all this advice coming your way, and you got all these great minds around you as well. What'd you take away from it? Did you have any lessons that you were like, hey, whether it be a coach or maybe it's another player that you're like, hey, maybe I can incorporate that into my own game?
To be honest, I just learned overall is just like to be yourself. Like you can't go in to the showcase and try to be like the number one player in Canada. You got to be yourself, and you got to do something that can make you different from other people. So that's the thing that I learned.
Mm-hmm. It's been a crazy year for you too. Not only are you showing up at the Canadian Future Showcase, but you also repped Alberta at the Canada Summer Games. What was that experience like for you?
It was fun. It was fun. It was fun staying at the campus with just with the guys. It was fun playing baseball for your province. Like it was really fun. It was a top 10 experience.
What did that mean to you to be able to do that? Not just like whether it be repping your home province at summer games or whether it be repping your home province in the home run derby. You and I were talking off air about the fact that, hey, it was Flu and then it was Tim Piazentine from Dogs and you made it 3 for 3. What'd that all mean to you as you look back on it with a bit of 2020 hindsight?
Like it meant a lot for me because I wasn't just only playing for the province. Like I was playing for my parents. I was playing for my family, friends back home. I was playing for the school. Like I was playing for everyone that knew me and everyone that rooted for me. So that was pretty special.
Absolutely. Let's get into that baseball past, the parenting, all that kind of stuff too, because you've got a crazy journey, dude. When you talk about growing up in Red Deer, moving to the Dominican Republic a couple of years ago, and then coming back within the last year or so. First off, how'd you get into baseball in the first place?
How I got into baseball, like every Dominican says, like when you're first born, the first toy that your parents buy you is a baseball bat. So I got into baseball at a pretty young age. Like I remember ever since I gained consciousness, like when I was 2, I think that I got into baseball. Like I got pictures when I was 2 years old. I was hitting with my dad, throwing baseballs with my dad. And yeah, I got into baseball at a pretty young age.
Was it all baseball all the time in your house, or did you get to play some other sports as well along the way?
I was pretty athletic. Like I like playing all the sports. I was competitive. So at school, I just try to be the best at everything. So I like playing soccer in elementary school. When I got into middle school, I played a little bit of basketball. But ever since when I moved back to the Dominican, it was just only baseball.
So walk us through the decision, the family decision to move back to Dominican Republic and then ultimately make that decision to come home to Alberta again.
It was tough. It was really tough because I needed to move to a country that I was gonna be by myself with. Like I wasn't gonna be there with my parents or anything. So at first, my parents they were undecisive because I was gonna be alone. Like they weren't gonna be there to like help me grow. So they were indecisive until my dad was like, "Well, this is for your future. This is for you. So like this is gonna help you to be a better baseball player and or to probably sign as a professional when you're 16." So after thinking for a couple of months, they made that decision.
You come back to Alberta and you end up meeting a gent by the name of Jason Chatwood. What has he and that whole crew at St. Joe's and now Gulls Prep meant to you and your development, not just as a ball player, but as a human being as well?
Well, he has he has helped me through a lot. He has helped me in life, in the baseball aspect, like in everything. Like he's probably one of the better role models I've had in my life because like he just gives me advice on everything on baseball or on either going to class. So and just the whole St. Joseph crew is they're pretty awesome. Like they're a pretty awesome group of people, and they're doing a lot for me in my development.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of guys when they get to play in different international settings, they can tell a difference between, say, the American game and the Canadian game and the Dominican game and the Chinese game. From your standpoint, as somebody who's lived on both sides, being Dominican and being an Alberta kid, do you notice the difference, and what is that difference?
Yeah, I noticed a huge difference. Number one is that the Dominican game, they're more selfish. And here in Canada, it's more about teamwork. It's about your teammates. And also just the intensity of the game. Like in the Dominican, it gets pretty intense, like too intense, where to that where it messes with you mentally because you just get in your head about, okay, I don't got to make that error. I don't need to strike out or else they're going to be on me about it. So that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about the Dominican baseball.
On a personal level, when you went back to the Dominican, I think you were 11 or 12 when that played out.
13.
You're 13.
Yeah.
Walk us through that transition and going back to a place, getting back to your roots to a certain extent, but also learning a little bit about yourself and your family lineage and all that kind of thing. And also, were you missing home in Alberta, that kind of thing, or were you pretty content out there?
At first, I was content because, listen, it was Dominican. I was going to be playing baseball every single day. I was going to be out with my friends. But after 2 weeks, I just hit home. Like, I started missing my parents. I started missing everything. It went to the point where I would cry myself to sleep every single night, missing my parents. And it was just tough. Like I was 13 and I was facing guys that were 17, 18 years olds. I was I was fielding more than 200 ground balls a day after school. Like it was pretty intense for a 13-year-old. So it was kind of tough at first.
So moving back, did you find yourself kind of trying to create a bit of an amalgamation in a sense of the Dominican game and the Canadian game? Like, hey, I can be a little bit selfish, but also be team oriented all at the same time kind of thing?
Well, to be honest, the Dominican game showed me that selfishness is not gonna it's not going to it's not gonna lead you somewhere good. Like as soon as I started playing more as a team guy, I've started to notice that my numbers went up. I started to notice that I've been having more fun on the field, which is the most important. And I've just noticed that I started to like feel better as a player.
Very cool. Looking back on the young career to this point, you've had a lot of highlights. I'm curious, is there one that really stands out for you? One that you kind of have to really take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I got to do that.
Well, the highlight is hitting 2 home runs against Team Ontario to help Team Alberta win the game.
That was a pretty good one this past summer for sure at Canada Summer Games. On the flip side, we all know baseball's a game of failure. What's been that biggest challenge? Maybe it was moving back to Dominican that really stands out to you that you're like, man, I can't believe I had to overcome that. I'm proud of myself for being able to do that.
Well, yeah, just moving back to the Dominican and like maturing by myself, because I had to learn a lot of things by myself in the Dominican. So that was definitely the thing that I overcame.
For sure. What was the key in your eyes to being able to overcome that and be able to strive to be better and really, you've only been back in Canada for a year, but you've really turned a lot of heads over the past year or so.
Yeah, like I said earlier, is have fun. Like I took baseball way too serious down in the Dominican. So my goal was just to have fun, to worry about what other people think about me, and to be myself, like I said, and to not think about to not take baseball too serious. So like if I go 0 for 3 Ks, not take it too serious, and if I go 3 for 3, just stay in the middle, not be too high, not be too low, just stay in the middle, just ride that train in the middle.
Well, they've been riding it fairly well so far. Speaking of, especially coming out of Canadian Future Showcase, there's a lot of talk about, hey, college, what's next in the baseball journey, that kind of thing. You're uncommitted at the moment, so I'm always curious, what are you looking for when you're looking at a school?
Well, I don't really have too much experience on talking about that because I haven't gotten much recently. But honestly, I don't care where I go, to be honest. I just want to play baseball.
I love talking about having some fun. So let's have a few fun questions for you. First off, what's your go-to food when you're at the ballpark as a fan?
Go-to food, definitely a hot dog.
And what's the condiments on top?
Relish and ketchup.
Relish and see, and I know mustard and ketchup can be very, very controversial, so that's why I like asking that question. So you're a ketchup guy. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What is your walk-up tune?
My walk-up tune. That's tough, because I got a lot. I think it has to be a song called 4K by El Alfa. It's a Spanish music.
I'll have to take a listen. I don't know it. There's not a lot that I don't know, so I like expanding my horizons. So I've got that one. I'll get that one queued up on YouTube next. And finally, what's your go-to baseball movie? The one that you got to watch whenever it's on TV?
The Sandlot. That's my go-to.
Oh, such a good one. And a classic, too. Love it. Two more for you before we let go, Daril. First off, for those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journeys and they want to end up where you're at now, what's that one piece of advice or those words of wisdom you want to impart upon them?
Trust the process. Trust the process. Don't think about the future and don't think about the past. Just think about today, right now, and no matter if you're doing bad or if you're doing good, just trust the process and trust that your time's going to come.
Absolutely. And the final one, what does the game of baseball mean to you?
It means everything. It's life. It's life. It means everything.
As simple as that. Love it. Well, Daril, first off, congratulations again on the Canadian Future Showcase Home Run Derby champion. Your entire season thus far has been outstanding. Continued success as we head towards 2026 and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much.
Another player who has continually turned heads everywhere he's gone is Fort McMurray's Jayden Kane. He was Rodriguez's teammate at the Canadian Future Showcase, taking home the championship. The AHP Academy product has had an equally busy summer with stops at the Prep Baseball Senior Futures Games, where he was named Canada's Most Valuable Player, and most recently, the Canada Summer Games. We talked about all of it in this conversation.
Jayden, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Fresh off Canadian Future Showcase, how did it go in your eyes?
It was just a surreal experience to get out there and play on Rogers Center. It was just something to dream of as a kid, and that first step on the field just felt like, getting one step closer to that dream of playing there full time one day.
Were the Jays your team growing up?
Absolutely.
Who was your go-to guy when you're watching them?
Probably Kevin Pillar, and it was so cool to get to listen to him and what he had to say about his journey and his career. So it was Kevin Pillar and Jose Bautista, but Jose didn't show up this time. So getting to hear from Kevin Pillar was definitely a big eye opener for me.
That had to have been something else, like a guy that you grow up watching, a guy that you're watching Superman through the air in the outfield, and there he is in the flesh. I mean, did you kind of have to pinch yourself in that moment a little bit?
It kind of didn't feel real at the start. Like, I was face to face with Kevin Pillar having a conversation about life and how his career went, and he's given me advice on mine, and it was so surreal. It was amazing.
I can only imagine. Let's talk about the gameplay and the showcase part of things. How do you think you fared in terms of showing off your skills?
It was pretty good. Our team was really, really well put together, and once you get to that level, you realize that the gap between skill is you're neck and neck. Like, it's not as much as, say, the teams here. Like, everyone's a great baseball player. It's just who plays harder and things like that. Like, I find that I played pretty good. I had some good at-bats and put quality stuff together. So
you mentioned the team aspect of it. You got to play on Championship Friday as well and take away the trophy as well. What did that mean to you to be able to be a part of that?
Like, before I even got to Toronto, I seen the Mizuno post about the gloves, and I talked to my family. I was like, we're getting this. Like, I want that. And just to be able to have that when that final pop fly went up to the infield and being in left field during that, I was just like picturing it before it happened. It was just excitement shot through my body once he caught that final out. So it was just amazing.
I can only imagine. And not only that, but there's a few Alberta guys on that team roster as well. So that had to be kind of cool to share with some guys like Daril, who ended up winning the home run derby to boot.
Yeah, Daryl's one of my good buddies, so that was pretty exciting for him and for me. I was right there with him the whole time. Got some videos for him, so that was pretty cool. And then to get to share the winning experience with another one of my buddies, Zach McDonald, that was a very cool experience as well.
It's got to be kind of fun to be able to see these guys who you grow up with, or that you've met up with over the course of the last few years here, and get to share an experience like that, like not just as a team, but even looking across the diamond from time to time and going, oh, I know that guy, and be able to say, hey, we match up with some of the best in the country.
Yeah, definitely. It's so, like, I find it fun when you're playing against people you've met through, like, Team Alberta selects teams and things like that, and you play against each other. It makes the competition more fun and more exciting. And you always want to win, but you almost want to beat your friend more when you play against them in your regular club teams and things like that. And you're so close when you're playing together on select teams or, Canada Future Showcase. So,
Absolutely. When it comes to a showcase like that, I mean, you've got 100+ of the best players in Canada suiting up. What's that mean to you to be one of them and to be able to look around the diamond and even reflect on the last 4 days and go, yeah, I can play with some of the best here?
I just have a lot of people to thank. Like, I got to thank my family for being able to put me in those spots to get opportunities like that. And, of course, like, Fort McMurray minor baseball, to really set my mind on baseball and give me that dream. And then lots of kudos goes out to AHP Academy. Like, they turned me into the player I am today, and I wouldn't have been able to do these things without them. They've really taught me what hard work and just going about things the right way, and that's what got me there.
Very cool. Looking back on that experience as well, did you take away anything from it from a lesson perspective? Like, were there things, whether it was coaches sharing something or maybe it was something that another player was doing that you're like, hey, maybe I can incorporate that? What was maybe the biggest lesson you took away from the Future Showcase?
Definitely the fact, back again to what Kevin Pillar was saying, he talked about the odds. So hitters are looked at as they're meant to fail. The odds are against them. You bat 300, you're supposed to fail 7 out of 10 times. He explained that he brought the freedom out of that and said, if I get a hit, kind of thing, I've done a good job, but I'm not supposed to. So it kind of relieves that pressure of, oh, I have to do something here, into really, like, just trusting your training and, like, sinking to your level of training that you've done over the past couple of years. So
that is very cool. Let's reflect a little bit on the year that's been for you, because it's been a wild one, including Canada Summer Games. What was that experience like for you?
That one was definitely a great experience. Just the whole setup there, and like I've been wanting to do that for years because my dad played in the Canada Summer Games in 2005, and it was just such a great experience to be able to carry that on 20 years later. And just to have him there to watch me play, it was another surreal experience.
That is so cool. Did he give you any tips or pointers heading into that one about getting to rep your province like that?
He definitely did say, like, don't let all the people there, like, basically get to your head, and, like, they're just there to watch baseball and things like that. Like, just play your game, be you, and that definitely helped me out. So, because Fort McMurray, like, I'm from Fort McMurray, but my whole family's from Newfoundland, so I had lots of people there.
That is cool.
So it was definitely fun to play in front of distant family like that.
I bet. Another thing you got to take part of was the Prep Baseball Senior Future Games. How was that?
That was a great experience. Some of the best, like, baseball I've ever played, and against best competition too. Like, you go down to the States and it's so much different, like, how kids go about their work. Like, it's exactly like the Canadian Future Showcase, but everyone down there does it, not just the top 150. I find all the good players are throwing 89 plus, like, and just know how to pitch. And that was the first time I got out playing around that many scouts. And I kind of just got into that flow state. I basically thought I had nothing to lose and I can only go up from this event. And turns out that I did, and I'm very grateful for that.
Might be the understatement of the year, Jayden. I mean, you were named Canada's MVP, for goodness sakes. I mean, what did that mean to you to be recognized in that way?
That was it was very special to me. Especially, I didn't get my invite until about the week before, and basically told my dad to go down there and make the most of it. And like you said, that was the understatement of the year. I definitely took it and ran with it. So.
It's been a whirlwind. You've been able to represent Alberta. You've represented Canada. When you think about that aspect of it, like whether it's repping the A on the hat or the maple leaf on the hat, what's that meant to you looking back on it?
Just, again, going back to, like, being a little kid, you always dream about doing things like that. And, like, you just feel so honored to be able to rep not only a province now, but a country team. And I'm honored.
Fantastic. Let's get into your backstory a little bit. You've talked about it a little bit, originally from Fort McMurray. How'd you get into baseball in the first place?
I actually started playing slow pitch when I was 3 years old back in Fort McMurray. Mm-hmm. Shortly joined T-ball. So my dad put me in hockey and baseball. I was always a multi-sport athlete, and just played year after year. I was always about 50-50. I played a couple other sports as well, but couldn't really decide what I liked the most, and I did both. But it was, I'd say, first year of 15U is when I really was like, I want to chase this game and, like, go as far as I can with it, and here I am.
You're doing that in spades. Did you have a poster up on the wall? Who's your guy aside from maybe a Pilar or Bautista?
I don't remember if I had a poster up on the wall. I just know I had a picture signed by the 2015 Jays of Rogers Center.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. We gotta send a picture of that one day. That's awesome. Looking back on the young career to this point, do you have a favorite memory or moment? Maybe it was created this past summer, but was there one that really stands out where, like, yeah, this is pretty cool?
We'll go back in time a little bit to the 13U AA provincials with Fort McMurray, and we were the underdogs in that tournament, and we ended up making it to the finals by, like, playing some gritty baseball. And in the finals against, I believe it was Slave Lake Heat, I ended up hitting 2 home runs and getting the provincial tournament MVP, and those were my first 2 home runs ever. So for me, that was just such a cool experience to be able to do that. And I really, like, I was in love with the game already, but that's when I just fell in love more.
I can only imagine. On the flip side, you mentioned it, baseball is a game of failure. So what's been the biggest challenge or hurdle you've had to overcome over your young journey?
Definitely just like pushing through it when you're in a rough patch. Like, I don't believe in slumps, but at the same time, you're not always going to bat 500, right? So when things aren't going your way, you just got to put it beside you, keep working, and trust that like the good things will happen.
One of the things that you've done to further your baseball journey is move south from Fort McMurray to the St. Albert area. You're at AHP. You kind of alluded to it earlier, but I wanted to get your sense as to what that program's meant to you, not just as a ball player, but as a human being as well.
That place is a family. Like, I walk in every day and I just feel like I'm at home. They've done so much for me. There's no words that can thank them enough for what they've turned me into as a person, as a player, everything. I spend all my time with my teammates there. Like, it's just, that place is where you would want to be. If you want to learn to be a better person and a better player at one time, AHP is the place.
That is awesome. From a player perspective, I always liken Taylor Burns to a mad scientist. He's always kind of scheming up things, and his brain's always going about the science of the body and that kind of stuff. Take us into the mindset as a player of what it's like to walk in with him, twiddling around and working on you with different things.
Definitely, I'll say month 1 of year 1. A little bit awkward, like, doesn't really make sense to a young kid when you're moved out at 14, but you mature to learn that what he's doing is absolutely right and is doing nothing but helping you. Like, I'd say he's prevented many of our players' injuries from just overworking, just by having good programs and like things like that. So his study definitely works for everyone.
That is awesome. Obviously, a lot of eyes, whether it be on Showcase or any other event now, is to get further in your baseball journey. You're uncommitted at this point to a college program. What are you looking for in a school? Do you have something in mind that makes you go, yeah, I want to go there?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking for a school that has a winning culture and really cares about player development at the end of the day. So there's been some conversations had, and can't really say too much, but in the next couple months, I would say that there will be a decision made.
Well, we're looking forward to amplifying that message when it gets out into the world. When it comes to the studies part, because they always talk about it being a student athlete, do you have an idea yet as to what kind of academic program you want to take when you go to school?
Yeah, so there's a certain course that would allow me to be more certified to be a firefighter.
Okay.
Fire science. Some schools offer it, some schools don't. So my second choice would be business, but I would like to be able to do fire science so I have something to fall back on after college and pursue that firefighting.
That is very cool. That is very cool. A few fun ones before we let you go, Jayden. First off, when you're at the ballpark as a fan, what's your go-to food?
Got to be a hot dog. Absolutely got to be a hot dog. Watching a ball game is not complete without eating a hot dog.
So what's the condiment of choice?
Ketchup, and then if they have it, sometimes they don't, but diced onions.
Oh, all right. See, that's a new one. Usually it's ketchup or mustard. It can't be both, although for me it's both. But I haven't heard the onions part, so that's a good one. What's your walk-up tune?
My walk-up song is Hate It or Love It by 50 Cent. It's been that for a couple of years now.
That's an oldie but a goodie. And finally, what's your go-to baseball movie?
There's so many good ones. I got to go Moneyball because I watched it last night.
There you go. There you go.
That's what I'll give you.
Awesome. Two more for you before we let you go. For those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journeys and they want to get to where you're at now, what's that one piece of advice or those words of wisdom you wanted to impart upon them?
If you really want this game and want to go far in it, just put your head down and sacrifice like what you want now for what you want later in life, and just, you're going to miss things. You're going to miss parties with your friends. You're going to miss going out. But just at the end of the day, it'll all pay off once you get to where you want to go. And just work smart. And if you don't love the game and you don't love the journey and the work is too hard and you're not enjoying practice, the game's not for you. You got to love every lasting second of it.
Absolutely, and we've loved having you on the show. Final one we ask everybody here on the show: what does game of baseball mean to you?
It means everything. It's who I am. It's the favorite. The best part about waking up in the morning is knowing I got practice from 3 to 7:30. So, it's baseball. It means everything, and I'm so blessed to be able to play it at a high level and hopefully get to the next level and compete there as well.
Well, we look forward to documenting that journey along the way as well. Jayden, it's been an absolute honor getting a chance to learn more about your journey to this point. Congratulations on all the success you've had, continued success as we head towards 2026 and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
And we'll wrap things up with an overarching look at the Canadian Future Showcase through the eyes of Jaxson Smith Peterson of Prep Baseball Canada. He's been all over the country in recent months, including the Gulls Rising Stars Classic, before going to Toronto for the showcase. We thought we'd check in with him to talk about some of the big Alberta names and friends of the show, as we've been lucky to chat with a few over the last few weeks.
Jaxson, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe. I'm excited to be on.
What a week it was in Toronto. How much of a whirlwind was it for you?
Oh, the most whirlwind you can imagine. Long days, but you can't complain when you're at the Rogers Centre all day just watching some of the best players in Canada.
For sure. Let's talk about some of that talent first off. The one guy that kind of caught everybody's attention was the third straight Alberta-trained guy to win the Derby, Daril Rodriguez. What did you take away from his performances over those 4 days? The Derby's one thing, but he seemed to be having himself a week to remember.
He definitely did. I'm pretty high on Daril myself. He takes quality at bats, doesn't really chase too much. And there's real power in that bat, not to mention the arm. Definitely plays in right field. He's going to be one to watch when next year's draft cycle rolls around for sure.
What is it about his game that really stands out to you? Is it a power thing? Is it a bat to ball thing? What is it about him that makes you so high on him?
It's a little bit of a mix. Like there's some hit in there and some power for sure. He plays the game with some swagger, that's for sure.
A couple of guys who've been on our radar and the national radar for a while now, Easton Katura and Ty Thierman. How did they do?
Easton had a really good week. Even going back to when we were in Sylvan Lake prior, he was just taking really good at bats, working gap to gap, and playing good defense. Not sure where it's going to be, if it's in the outfield or at third base, but defensively on both sides, he's definitely taken some strides. And Tay as well had some quality at bats, looked the part behind the dish, and it's definitely improved as a defensive catcher for sure.
Good stuff. Another guy who's been on our radar for a while now out of Weber Academy, Cohen Miller. It looked really good from the games that I got to see. How did he show up in your eyes?
Cohen had a strong week for sure. Definitely a little buzz around him. One of the stronger defensive shortstops in the country, not just the West Coast. And the bat's really taking a jump. Really saw some power kind of jump out.
From a hitting perspective, we'll get into the pitching side of things in a couple of minutes here, but who else kind of caught your eye, not just from an Alberta perspective, but maybe some guys that maybe we should be keeping an eye on nationally as well?
Oh, that's a good question. Elliot Lascelles out of the Toronto Mets in Ontario put together a really strong week. Shortstop with a chance to stick at shortstop, if not slide over to third base and be pretty solid over there. The arm plays, but some of the best bat to ball skills in the country and really flashing some power as of late.
On the mound, a few names that kind of stick out to us. One is a younger dude who seems to be rising up everybody's depth charts out of AHP Academy, Gabe Fink. How did he stand out during the 4-day showcase?
Gabe had a strong week on both sides of the ball, actually. Like there's some power in the bat. Athletic kid, runs well. Doesn't strike out a ton, but on the mound it's really fun. He's got one of the better breaking balls in his slider. It sits like 79, 81. And then just good hard fastball. Keeps it down in the zone when he's going well, and just a different look with the kind of compact arm action there. Gabe had a good week. Excited to see where it goes over the next couple of months, and then see him again in the spring.
For sure. Another guy out of Okotoks, he's a tall boy out of Nova Scotia. AJ Rogers, my oh my, is this guy a behemoth, and already committed to a really good post-sec. What did he do this week?
AJ had a really good outing. I believe he got the start and worked 3. I could be mistaken there. But it's 4 pitches for strikes, like starter profile long term. 88 to 90, but with the 6'8" frame, you see a jump coming there at some point. Was really impressed with him. I really liked him in Langley in June, and just keeps getting better.
Another guy, the pitching factory that's brought us Adam Makoa and Garrett Hawkins, among others. Callum Anderson, an Alberta born and raised guy as well. What did he do in your eyes?
Callum might be one of my favorite arms in the country. Not might be, he is. And he had a good showing. Young guys, you get out there, it's a pretty big stage, but I thought he handled himself pretty well. But there's just a ton to like there. 6'4", it's free and easy. There's going to be more velo in there. Feel for 3 pitches with pretty good slider and the changeup. It was frontline stuff, man. He's got a bright future ahead of him for sure.
Fantastic. Anybody else on the mound, whether it be from Alberta or around the country, that made you go, okay, we got a player here?
Bryden White, recent addition to the Okotoks Dogs program. He put together a solid 2 innings, kind of working in that same 87-89. I believe he touched 90. And it's a splitter for me. Spins it at about 900 to 1,000. Sharp movement. Really excited to see how that develops with Okotoks.
There's a lot of guys that we could probably talk about, but let's talk more generally. I mean, you've had a really busy week or two here. You were at Sylvan Lake for the Gulls annual Fall Classic, and then you go to the Canadian Future Showcase. What is it about the Alberta talent, even the Saskatchewan talent, you got to see the going yard guys as well, that really stands out to you, that makes you go, hey, these guys can play with some of the best in the country?
For one, it's the farm strength, man. They're strong kids. Nobody's really getting beat. It's not, you don't watch a game and it's soft liners the other way. They're hitting balls hard, gap to gap. The Alberta kids, it's not showcase baseball the way it is in some places. Like, they play the game hard. They play the game the right way, moving runners over. Like, you'll see guys who might end up being draft picks in a year or two, and they're bunting a guy over in these fall games. So it's just fun to watch. It's refreshing.
On the Canadians, from a Canadian standpoint, I guess, is what are you noticing about the game? You said that this is your first time seeing the showcase. Maybe what stood out to you during the 4 days and made you go, man, Canadian ball players, they got it going on right now?
Just the depth, coast to coast. Like, there was a player from PI there all the way to BC. Tons of talent, and you just saw guys weren't afraid. Like, there are a lot of arms out there who are going to end up playing professionally or at a high-level institution after high school, and the hitters just got in there and took long at bats. They're pests almost. Just the talent coast to coast is really impressive right now. I think Canadian baseball is on the up.
For sure. And I mean, one of the things that I was not necessarily surprised by, I think I see this getting more and more obvious, though, is it feels like the talent pool's getting younger almost. Like, we had a couple of 15-year-olds at this year's tournament. We had a couple of 16-year-olds at the showcase. Like, it's not just a matter of, hey, the 18s and 19s are showing out, but the younger guys are able to do it too.
100%. I was really excited to see there were some 28s there. Mikey Bautiste out of Ontario comes to mind. He was a underclass future gamer for us and just looks the part. Switch hitter, 100 EV from both sides. That's going to be one to follow down the road.
Talk about that 28 class for a minute there, because I feel like 27, like, as much as we want to pay attention to the 26s, but man, there are some really bright looking prospects in the 27s and 28s that you guys are keeping eyes on. Yep,
for sure. I don't believe Alberta had a 28 kid there this year. BC had one in Jake Carrier out of the Abbotsford Cardinals program. I really like the kid. Like, there's makeup there, bat to ball skills. He can run a little bit. Good chance to stick in center field as a left guy. And then there were a couple 28s out of Quebec who put on good performances as well. The 27 group in itself is really strong. Josh Mills, didn't even get a chance to talk about him rather. And then the one that really comes to mind out of that 27 group, really showed well over the last week at both events, is Rogan Brevard.
Mm-hmm.
Hit a home run in the last game of the event. It was probably about 11 p.m. when he hit that home run. And that thing was crushed off a pretty premium arm out of Ontario. He can run well, defends, doesn't strike out a lot, and just a good kid to be around. So high on Rivard coming out of this week.
Another guy that comes to mind is one of the younger guys, Ethan Renault. How did he do? Because I think he's one of the 4 youngest dudes that were there this year.
Yep. Renault had a good workout day. You know, he plays good defense. It's tough. You come out versus some of the premium arms in the country as a 15-year-old. But he didn't look overmatched. It might not have shown up in the box score, but there's a bright future. And I don't even think he threw at the event. And we really like it on the mound. So it was good to see him there. Get your feet wet, kind of, and then next year you go out and you put on a big performance for sure. Renault's got a bright future ahead of him.
Absolutely. A Baseball Alberta Player of the Year at 13U, and has just continued to climb up the rankings for sure in a lot of people's eyes out of Okotoks. Jaxson, a couple more for you before we let you go. What excites you most about getting to do what you get to do and the things that you get to see during the course of a baseball season?
For me, the number one thing is just trying to help the players. You end up placing them at places or connect them with the right people, and then you see them go have success. It really it matters to me, and I get some joy out of that. The travel's really cool. You get to go see new places, watch baseball at a high level in different places. But helping the players is number one to me. That excites me.
Well, you're doing a great job of it, getting to showcase all that the players get to do and what they're doing on the social media sphere and on your website and everything else. Final question for you here. As we look to turn the page on calendar year 2025, what's on your bucket list? What are you excited for the most heading into 2026?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't say I'm kind of living week to week right now, but Best of the West is always a highlight on the calendar. You just get the best teams from BC and Alberta, and then we've started having some Ontario teams coming out in the Mississauga Tigers, and Marty Lane runs a top-tier tournament there in Kamloops. Have some family connections in Kamloops, so that's always a blast to get out to. And then just seeing more of Alberta over the next year. Getting out there. We're going to Saskatchewan in a couple weeks. So just see more on the prairies, the talent they have there. It's deep, man, with all the different programs. It's a blast to get to go check out each one's facility, get to know the people there a little bit better, and then see the talent on display. And then wrap it up with the future games next summer, which I think we're going to have a really strong group. We're excited about the 28 group all across the country. So that's what I'm looking forward to next year.
Promises to be a fantastic time. Jaxson, really appreciate your insights and diving into what you saw over the last week or so. Enjoy a little bit of downtime, and looking forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks again to Tyler Hollick, Daril Rodriguez, Jayden Kane, and Jaxson Smith-Peterson for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. While the season might be winding down, we have plenty of conversations we want to bring you in the weeks ahead. So make sure to hit subscribe on your app to make sure you don't miss a moment of the action. A tip of the cap, as always, to our Platinum supporters for their generosity in helping us tell the game stories in our province. Thanks to the Okotoks Dogs, Under the Light Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League, we are able to cover off costs like travel, web hosting fees, and newspaper subscriptions. We'd love to add to our roster, so if you're interested, drop me a line at joe@albertadugoutstories.com. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.